All right, what is going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down one pivot that we made in order to have prospects hopping on phone calls and not even asking about the program, but hopping into the sales calls, asking, Caleb, I don't need anything else. I just need to know what the payment plans are and what the price is. And when I had this happen to me, I remember this vividly. It was a Thursday morning, and I just hop on and I see a sales call that was booked overnight, and I hop on. It's Thursday morning. I'm just grabbing my LaCroix and drinking my water and getting my workout in, and I have a sales call that was booked like midnight the night before, and I wake up to it, and it's at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, okay, I don't even know why this is on my calendar. I don't have sales calls in the mornings, but I'm like, okay, I'll just take it, whatever. And I hop on, and the prospect, I've never spoken to this prospect before. Okay. And again, this one method is what caused this whole thing to happen. And I hop on and I'm like, okay, nice to meet you, things like that. Boring, boring, boring. And then all of a sudden, the first words that come out of his mouth is, Caleb, I like you. I trust you. I know what you do. I've been watching your content. What are the payment plans? What's the pricing? And let's go. And I swear to you not, that call lasted 15 minutes. I was looking at the clock as I was talking to him. I was like, okay, this conversation is going to be an all-time record. I've never spoken to the person before. Let's see how long this goes. And from hopping on to paying the Stripe link and getting the invoice, credit card, everything, 15 minutes. And I was like, wow. And so I went back to the team. I had a team meeting after that, and I said, guys, I just had the craziest phone call. And this might not be crazy for some of you guys because most likely you understand what I'm talking about. But when I realized this, and if you guys can realize this, this will make a dramatic difference in your business. And I'm telling you from experience that it has made a dramatic difference in our business. And if you want prospects to hop on phone calls and just be ready to buy, and not have to convince them of like what you do and they have no idea what you do, and you just want prospects to just believe you, trust you, and already want to work with you and then hop on, then I want you to watch this video because this one method is going to break this down. And one thing I want you guys to realize is that it's all about action, right? Because I knew this before, when like 4 or 5 years ago. And if I did it and if I actually believed in it and moved with actions along this method, I would have been way further ahead than I am now. But I didn't. And so that's why I'm telling you guys, don't take my word for this. Implement, do it for yourself, and then see what happens. All right, so that one thing, let me just go ahead and clear this out. That one thing is content. Okay, content. And before you guys are like, oh, Caleb, I already know this, I want you to really listen because this is a game changer. All right, so why content is essential. And if you not only want to book more meetings, but also close more sales. Okay, so if you guys look at the big players in the game, what's one thing that they all do? Like if you look at Alex Hormozi, if you look at Sam Ovens, if you look at Iman Gadzhi, Hayden Bowles, I don't know, all the big guys, right? If you look at what they do, without a doubt, they all make content. They all make content. And so very few will execute, and that's what I said before. Like very few of you guys most of you guys know that content is important, but I feel like no one really broke down like why it's important and why it actually makes a difference. And so I'm going to break that down in this video. But when you do execute, I promise you guys, not only will you have instances where people just hop on, they're like, Caleb, I'm ready to buy, all right, and they already know, like, and trust you before you even talk to them, but you'll also just have more meetings than your CRM can even handle. Like we've literally had days where just due to lack of structure, honestly, on our end, but we had so many meetings, like we were booking 15, 20 meetings a day from content and outbound messaging, that our CRM just like the amount of appointments that we had was just so many that we had to like organize redo everything. And so we had to redo our whole structure in our CRM. And so if you want that problem to happen in your business, then content is the answer. All right. So let me know if this sounds familiar, if you ever faced these problems before. Okay. Prospects hop on a call and they have no idea what you do. Like, what do you do? Hurry up. I don't want to hear you. It's like those conversations that like you never want to have. And we all don't want to have those conversations. Right. And it takes an arm and a leg to convert people into a call. Right. Maybe you're doing outbound messaging, or you're doing some sort of prospecting, and it takes an arm and a leg to convert people into just hopping on a phone call with you. Like, oh, dude, I don't even want to see your stuff. It takes so much convincing to just hop on a phone call. And inbound leads are unheard of or just non-existent. Like, you don't. It's never even happened in your business. You don't even know what that means, or have never experienced inbound leads. It's like, Caleb, in my niche, this is just not possible. Like, I just don't know what inbound leads would be, and I don't believe in it. All right? You might be in that same spot right now, because I know I was. And you need to convince everyone who wants to hop on a call with you to pull out their credit card, right? So it's like so convincing. It's like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. Should I do it? Should I not do it? No, it's going to be the right answer. It's like you're taking so much energy to convince people why you're the best fit. Okay, and this is all probably happening because there's no form of content that you're putting in front of these prospects before they even hop on a phone call with you. Instead, this is what content can do for your business. First off, it establishes authority before they even hop on a phone call with you. A lot of the times, prospects hop on a phone call with you because you've prospected with them and you convince them to hop on a call, but they have no idea on what you do or who you are until you talk to them. And the reason why prospecting works very well when it's hand in hand with content is that you prospect, you get all the leads to agree to a call, and then you warm them up through a sequence of content that is establishing authority before they hop on a call with you. And so this isn't just for paid ads where you're getting inbound leads. This works for outbound prospecting. And we use this, like when we outbound prospect, we use content to be able to convince people to not only hop on a call, but after they agree to book a call, they are shot content so that they can be warmed up and they can watch what we do and who we are before they hop on a call with us. And that means that we can save time on the call, and they already know, like, and trust you. And if they don't, then they won't hop on a call and you save time. Right? And that's what content does. It weeds out people that are not a good fit and brings in people and attracts people that are a good fit. All right. So, and also let content build all the rapport for you without even talking to them. Right. And that's the story I gave you guys is like the person hopped on and the content that we published did all of the selling already. And so at that point, it was just a matter of, even though we haven't spoken to them at all, it was just a matter of them coming onto the call, finding out what the pricing is, and sorting out some sort of payment plan to get started. Okay, so in addition to that, it's a great follow-up mechanism. So as in, let's say that a prospect hops on and they don't buy. It's not the right time. Well, guess what? As long as you guys are friends on Facebook, as long as they are following your YouTube channel, as long as you guys are following each other on some sort of medium, they will see your content as you continue to publish like this. I'm making content. And everybody that I hopped on a phone call with in the past month will see this content and be like, Caleb, wow, you know what you're talking about. You know content. I know I need to do content. I need somebody to guide me. And you do outbound prospecting. Let me hop on a phone call with you again. Right, and so it's a great way to stay in front of your prospects that you've already had a call with, and continue to warm up the people that have not hopped on a call with you, but will at some point. Like, I know some of you guys that are watching this video are going to buy from me at some point, but maybe you're not ready yet, and that's fine. I'm not here to convince everyone to work with me. What I'm here to do is provide value, and at some point when you are ready to work with us, you'll hop on a phone call, and because of content, you'll just buy. And I know that process now, right? And so another thing is that it gives prospects that are going to want to hop on a phone call with you, it gives them a clear idea of what you do. a clear idea, so that you don't have confusion. And what that means for you is that you can save time on the sales calls, and because there's less confusion, there's no I need to think about it. It's very black and white. It's yes or no. It's not let me think about this. There's a lot of information. It's very clear. It's yes or no, and if it's clear enough, they'll be able to make a decision on that call instead of you having to follow up and waste time. Now, people, the last point here, will convince themselves that they need to work with you. Okay, I've had prospects where they're convincing themselves through content. They're like, wow, this is it. And I've done this myself. I've hopped into programs where, I'll justify to my friends, like, guys, I just watched this video and I need to jump into this guy's program. And that's what content does. If you make content the right way, you'll have prospects just watching the videos and being like, okay, I need this. This is the solution that I need to solve my problems. Now, I know I talk and preach about outbound prospecting a lot, and I truly do believe in it because I think it is a numbers game. But this game of business is not necessarily always going to be just one solution. That's what I meant. It's not always just going to be one solution. It's not like outbound prospecting is going to solve everything in your business and everything else will go fine. It's like, yes, outbound prospecting is definitely a very great asset to have, and this is why we preach it. But it's not just like one thing that's going to solve your business, right? It's going to have a dramatic difference in your business, right? It's going to drive the needle forward. But to really play the game and to really grow the business, like when you can combine paid ads with outbound prospecting and then also pair that with great content, well, then with those three, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. And I would say if you could add client results as 4, like great client results and great community, like those 4 things, you're off to the races. I mean, that's the fundamental blocks of being able to have great sales, great marketing, and great service delivery and fulfillment. Okay, so with that being said, just simplify the things that you need to focus on when it comes to generating more appointments and growing your business. Right? I like to really simplify things so that there's not a billion things I need to think about in the mornings. Like I had a great morning work block this morning, had my morning routine, worked out, and then just straight into the computer for 3 hours of deep work without any meetings, without Slack or anyone hitting me up. I'm building. I'm creating content like this. I'm doing the highest leveraging activities. And when I can just focus on those 4 things, I don't need to think too much about anything. Right? All I'm thinking about is how many outbound prospecting methods are we doing? Right? What's the number that we're producing today? What's the input? Some sort of paid advertising, content, and then client results. Those 4 things, that's all I need to focus on. I don't need to worry about payroll or taxes or all this website and logos and designs and triggers and workflows and all of that. Just those 4. Those 4. All right, so this is the power of one thing and moving the needle forward. All right, that's super important business. And if you don't produce content, you're not only going to make the sale harder for yourself, right, or your closer and your team, but you're missing out on a vital aspect that gets strangers to turn into paid clients. We hear that all the time. It's like, how do you get a stranger to be a paid client? And sometimes everyone fantasizes off of the one call close, and we've definitely had a lot of instances in our Cairo agency as well as our company now where when this happened, where just one call, they don't know us, and they close on that call. But the point here is that that's not as common, and even if it is common, right? Let's say your sales process down, and it is common that you close people on one call closes, because we definitely had a lot of those. The point is that it makes your life harder by not making content. Right, that's my point here, guys. It's like you guys can do outbound prospecting and not make content. That's fine, and you'll still close sales. I'm not saying you won't, but if you want to have something that has a compound effect and leverages your time, right, and makes the sale easier, I mean, guys, it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you do that? It's going to save you time. It's going to save you money. It's going to save you headaches, right? And it just makes your life easier. So. One point that I want to make here is that there's a certain amount of energy that is required to convert people into paid clients. Right? It's like if somebody is cold and they want to become a paid client, there's this amount of energy that needs to go through this line for it to happen. Right? They need to know, like, and trust you. They need to watch some sort of content. They need to know and understand your service. They need to believe that service is going to solve their problem, and it requires energy to push them down the line. Case studies, testimonials, right? A demo, a long form of content, a video about, breaking their limiting beliefs. Like, everything's going to require energy to move them down this line. And as entrepreneurs, we preach all the time about leverage, doing high leveraging tasks. But sometimes, myself included, we don't actually look at the actions in our own lives. I used to preach about high leverage activities, but I used to never drop content. And I realized I'm not playing the game. And so for me to, instead of talk about it, I need to really look at my own actions and see, okay, the things I'm telling my clients to do, the things that I'm telling myself to do, or just preaching on social media, am I actually doing these things? Right? And when you can move in that kind of alignment of like, this is the right thing and you actually do it, prospects can feel that. Your clients can feel that. When I tell prospects, or when I tell our clients to have a morning routine and to be zoned in every morning and to get their outside of work habits in order, I say that with confidence and conviction because I do it every single day. Like, I live that, I breathe it. And I know the effect it has in my life. And so when I talk through that with my clients, they can feel that. And they can sniff it. They can sense it. Right? So for one, I used to never believe in content, but I slowly started to see the importance of it. And I'll explain how this kind of transition happened. So back when I was growing that Cairo agency, I thought that my niche wouldn't watch content. I was like 23, 22 at the time. And I was thinking to myself, what kind of doctor would listen to a 22-year-old about business? There's a little bit of a limiting belief and a mindset change that needed to happen. But I just thought, my niche wouldn't watch the content. And little did I know it's completely false. If I were to go really grow the agency now, which is not the focus, but if I were to, then, I played a long-term game. I played content, and I post a lot of content. Now, if they're human, this is what I understood, they consume content. Like, every human consumes some sort of content. Now, it might not just be, the forms of content that you're familiar with, right? Whether it be video on social media or, they might do blogs or posts or newspapers or radio, or it's just maybe a different form of content in different channels. And that's what you need to understand, is that the key is to adapt. The key is to adapt to the forms of content as well as the channels that your ideal prospects are on, right? So let's say you're in a dental niche. Okay, where are all the dentists hanging out? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Spotify? Are they on podcasts? Are they on newspapers? I don't know. Let's figure that out, right? The key is to adapt to that form of content. It might be in person. And a turning point for me was that when I started to realize that all of the coaching investments I've made, right, before I didn't believe in content, and then I realized I did a self-inflection of all the coaching investments I made over the past year or 2 years, and I spent over $100,000 in just coaching in these programs. And I realized that every program that I invested in, whether it was like a $30,000 investment or whether it was like a $20,000 investment or whatever the investment might be at a small scale, I've also invested in programs that were $1,000 and some that were $36,000. But they're all revolved around me consuming content and believing in what the other person had to say. That was it. And I've never hopped on a phone call with them before. I just literally digested their content. And after digesting their free content, I was completely sold. And none of these coaching programs, even the one that I invested $36,000 into, or maybe even more than that, with that program, I didn't even have to hop on a phone call with them. And when I look back, I realized that the same story that I told you guys, where somebody hopped on in the morning and then just bought without even talking to me, and we paid the invoice in less than 15 minutes from them not knowing me to buying. You would think, like, guys, like, Caleb's so good at sales. He closed somebody from not even knowing or even speaking to them to then closing them within 15 minutes and collecting the payment in 15 minutes. Like, guys, that didn't happen on that phone call, okay? What you have to understand is that there was a backlog. There's a backlog of probably 10 hours of content that they watched from me before. And then them hopping on a phone call, even though it feels like, and this is why content's so great, is like we haven't done any of the work. We just put in 15 minutes of conversation and they buy, but we don't notice, maybe you did notice, but there's 7-8 hours of content that they consumed before they hopped on. Okay, so I was the same way. I was that person that hopped on for this $36,000 program, and I was like, dude, I told the rep. It wasn't even the person. It was a rep from their team. I didn't even know the rep, but I knew the guy that ran the program, and I was like, dude, you don't have to convince me. I'm in. What's the payment plans? And in less than like 10 minutes, I signed a contract. I paid $36,000 just from free forums of content. That is how powerful this is, guys. If you can understand this, and again, don't let the limiting belief, because I had this, and maybe you're thinking of this, don't let the limiting belief of this is not going to work in my niche, or I don't have enough authority, or whatever your excuse might be, like whatever you're saying, like I won't make content because of whatever this. Get rid of this part, because I promise you, in any niche, you can find the right channel and the right forms of content, and it'll make a dramatic difference in your business. Okay, so when I realized I was the one on the other side that was doing this, and I realized, okay, every forum, over $100,000 in the past year of investments I've made without having to hop on a call was through content, and they sold me. I realized, okay, I'm really stupid for not utilizing this. Like, why wouldn't I utilize this? And so the great thing with content is that you record a video once, and it will continue to be a driving force that will produce leads forever if you do it the right way. Right? So if you do it the right way, if you make content the right way, the way that I'm making it now, and you guys can rewatch this video and see how I made this content, then you'll produce leads forever, and you won't have to worry about appointments, and you won't have to worry about convincing everyone that hops on a phone call with you to buy. Okay, so one last point. You don't create content just to look cool or just to post. Okay, I used to think this, like, okay, content, my coach is telling me to post content. Let me just post content, or try to look cool, try to be an influencer. The goal is not to be an influencer. That's not why you make content. I think that's why content got like a bad rep over the past couple of maybe years because of a lot of influencers. We're business people, guys. We're business people. And I wouldn't be making this form of content if I didn't believe it was going to contribute to business. All right, and also I want to provide free value, but in that is business. And so remember, you're not creating content to be famous or look cool. Even if you have an audience of 5 people, guys, content is still important. Why? Because that content to the 5 people will be a sales asset. It's a sales asset, guys. It's not content. It's a sales asset. So that's why this is why it made a shift for me. Is like, I don't need to have 1,000 subscribers. I don't need to have 5,000 friends on Facebook. I don't need to have an audience at all. I can leverage other people's audience, and I can build my audience over time. But even if there's 3, 4, 5 people, it's like having a Zoom call, guys. It's like having a discovery call with all 5 people at once. Wouldn't you do that? Like, if I gave you an option to take a Zoom call with one person and take 5 Zoom calls individually, one by one, or I gave you an option to have a Zoom call with all 5 people at once, which one would you pick? Right? It's like, you want to save time. You're going to do the same process anyways with all 5 people. Why not just save time? And content allows you to do that. Content allows you to use it as a sales asset to convince people to know, like, and trust you. That's what content is doing. It's getting people to know and like and trust you before they even hop on a phone call with you, before they actually even get to really know you in person. And that's why it's a leverage. That's why it's a high leveraging activity, and that's why it's so important to make content. 'Cause instead of talking to thousands and millions of people, you could just make one form of content and not have to talk to anybody and just post it. And it's like you're talking to a million people. And this is why content is so important, guys. And don't take my word for it. Again, watch this video, implement, and it is a long-term play, but it's not even so long. If you make content the right way, it will get people, even if you have a small audience, it will get results soon, as long as people are watching content. And so if you want our exact frameworks, we have a content calendar as well as a Google Doc that just kind of breaks down the way that I make content and the schedule and all the things that are necessary to make content that convinces people and that gets people to take action, right? It's copywriting, it's content, it's all of that put together. If you want that exact framework, I'll send it over to you. Just comment content below. So just comment content below. Just content. Don't comment content below, but comment content below. And I'll send it over to you. This exact framework. It'll make your life a lot easier. It'll save you a lot of time and allow you to do things like hang out with your kids and spend time with your family instead of trying to figure out this content game. Let me just give it to you. All right, so just comment content below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I'm making content right now. This is a form of content. Okay, so if you guys watch to the very end and you're convinced, maybe there's something happening in your head where you're like, I want to work with Caleb, use that as a belief that, wow, content does work. Like Caleb just did this with me. How can I do this with my prospects? Those are my intentions. All right, so enjoy your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.